Hello, Sean Briscoe here, CLSB Politics. Day 3 of the DNC Convention. Let's get started. There's a lot. First, we had some really solid speakers lined up. I mean, you got former presidents, you got former speakers, Buttigieg rounds it out nicely. And then they expanded it, and we kept on, and there's just so many more people here. I mean, when Stevie Wonder shows up, you're winning. Lots of great speakers. Honestly, I thought today the third day was going to be kind of meh because the previous first day and second day were just so amazing, but day 3 was awesome. So they did do a bit on 2025, and I knew that they would keep doing that throughout this entire thing. And Kenan, he's hilarious. He was the whole bit was basically he found somebody. For example, there was someone from the Department of Education who was not an appointee, just a worker, for the government. And she was like, he's like, so you're a government employee? And she's like, yeah. He's like, well, do you like MAGA? And she's like, no. And she's like, well, you got problems. Wait a second, what department do you work for? And she goes, Department of Education. And he's like, don't worry about it. According to this, you ain't gonna have a department anyway. It's pretty funny. And it kind of made light of what is actually a real thing. And I actually have 15 shows on Project 2025 in my catalog. Feel free to go through them. They're comprehensive. But yeah, it's pretty brutal. So Hakeem Jeffries, he killed it. He always does, though. He's such a good speaker. But the line that I took away from him speaking was joy will come in the morning. I thought that summed up the day pretty closely. Loved his speech. He's always good. He's guaranteed, Then we had Bill Clinton. He went on for a good bit. He did have one good zinger against. Well, he had a few good zingers against Trump, but one was he pointed out that he's younger than Trump. And he also mentioned he's the oldest male in his family for 4 generations, which tells you how good the president's healthcare is, right? Also, I think he had like a quintuple bypass a while ago, and I lived in Arkansas for a hot minute. That food is super yum, and it will kill you dead. So, all right, there you go. He also pointed out that Obama called him the explainer in chief. But he had a great time, and it was nice to see him up there. But he's looking old, and yep. Pelosi had a great one. She's, I don't view her as like a top tier speaker, really. She's more of a count the votes, get stuff through. She knows how systems work kind of person. But she definitely called out Trump on his assault on democracy, and said that the only way they were able to stop is because Democrats controlled the House when January 6th happened. So she's not wrong. Like I said, she knows her stuff, and she knows how things work, 100%. Shapiro had a great night. He had a whole thing where it's not freedom if your kids, if they can't read the books they want to read, or you can't love the person you want to love. He went on and on about what freedom really is. And Project 2025 is not about freedom. Project 2025 is about removing freedom. And he was real good about that. And also, freedom's not voting and then somebody else choosing who wins. That's not a thing either. So I really liked what they did. I thought they did a great job. He did a great job. And then Oprah. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's like you get freedom and you get freedom and you get freedom. I loved Oprah. Oprah was great. She pointed out that in the GOP world, books are dangerous and guns are safe. How does that even make sense? Should the thing where whatever boat your ancestor arrived on, we're all in this together, John Lewis, she quoted him. I love John Lewis. She also pointed out if cats could vote, they should. And she also pointed out that she's an independent, which I find pretty interesting. And I guess when you're a billionaire, you can be an independent, and it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, I know she leans left. Yeah, it was. I thought she did a great job, and what a great communicator. And she's 70. That one does not look 70. Anyway, Wes Moore. I love this guy. It would not surprise me if we see him as a president one day. Not one bit. The guy is just 100%. Yeah. So he really just went to the fundamentals of what makes America America. And the fact that he comes from the military, he's like, we're building bridges and we're fixing potholes, whereas the Republicans are destroying bridges and digging up more holes. He pointed out that you got to keep our eye on the ball. You got to count the days till mission complete, which is exactly right. So in campaign world, we don't actually have days of the week or any of that stuff because you work 7 days a week. So weekends aren't even a thing. You have days till election. And actually, in a lot of states I've worked, you have days until early voting. Because if you don't win in early voting, you ain't going to win. So, yeah, he was 100% on that. Pete. I love Pete. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy becomes president one day. Great communicator, as always. He really went after J.D. Vance quite hard. He said at least Pence was polite. And you can say a lot of things about Pence, but he was polite. And he also pointed out, he spends a lot of time on Fox. He watches these guys like a hawk. He's the one we send into enemy territory when something needs to be communicated, and he's very, very good at it. But one thing he pointed out was the GOP is just doubling down on darkness. And I'll tell you right now, we just keep shining light and joy and stay focused. They can double down darkness all day, ain't gonna matter. Yeah. He also pointed out in his lifetime that his life went from impossible to possible just in his lifetime. Thought it was a very important point. Amy was great. She loves Waltz, as she should. Talked about he was going to be the one who was going to unite the country. Couldn't disagree more. I've got friends that don't even pretend to pay attention to politics who have messaged me and said, hey, there's this guy. Was he a football coach? He's vice president. Tell me about him. I mean, and these guys have no clue. Yes, I have friends that just like watch football and do their life and don't do politics. But what's funny is when they do check in, they'll come call me because I've known them for 20 years. Anyway. And she pointed out that Waltz is a direct connection. Actually, both Waltz and Kamala are both direct connections to the middle class. So yeah, I thought that was pretty on brand. Waltz, he did such a good job, and his son, oh my gosh, when his son was breaking down and crying, I was right there with him. I mean, just watching your dad, whom you know is like the best guy, because my dad was also the best guy. Loved my dad. He just saw him up there just killing it, and it just, I mean, he's bringing joy to the fight. He called out his Scarlets, his team. He made a commitment to the common good and understanding what all needs to get done. He really brought that home. While other states were banishing books, they were making sure the books were in the schools and that the kids were eating. I mean, there's literally, this guy is 100%. Yeah. He also pointed out when it comes to Project 2025 that if somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, this is kind of a football metaphor, in football, if they drop the playbook, they're going to use it. Project 2025 is a legit problem. And it's also an agenda nobody asked for, which is facts. And he also pointed out that in the fourth quarter, we're driving downfield, ain't no time to stop. Just keep on driving. 100 inches at a time, whatever it takes. Get that first down. Repeat. That's all you got to do. He also pointed out that housing and healthcare are human rights. Can't argue that. It's with this guy, it's somewhere between Friday Night Lights and Braveheart. I heard that comment. I'm like, yes, freedom and Friday Night Lights. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. So could not, absolutely amazing. The poet. Oh my God, I'm blowing this up a little bit. So Amanda Gorman, every time I've heard her, she just blows my mind. She's so articulate, so incredibly intelligent. I mean, and gorgeous, and just nails it. I could listen to her talk all day. I really could. So I found a cool quote from her. If we're to live up to our time, then victory won't lie in the blades, but in all the bridges we've made. Couldn't agree more, Miss Gorman. So thank you for watching. Check your voter status, like and subscribe. If you wish to support this channel and the work I'm doing, we have a PayPal account at CLSB Politics. Hope everyone has a great day. Super looking forward to tonight.